You acknowledge that you made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities for you to learn. But why the fuck do you want to blow your account to learn? You're not learning anything from that. Okay? You're learning to gamble. That's what you're doing. You're learning how to gamble. And honestly, there's very, very few gamblers that make it in this industry long term. They just don't exist. I'm not saying that you can't gamble and make money, but the problem is the gamblers don't generally know when to get up and walk away from the table. They think, well, I had a flash in the pan, win in crypto. I bought it. It ran up really good. It's going to keep doing that. Well, they found out that it doesn't work that way. Okay. And everybody that goes into these crypto markets think that they're going to see that stellar bull run again. And they discovered, just like every other market, that's not what they do. Because they have unrealistic expectations. They have Olympic expectations on a market. They don't always parabolically move. And if you have a trade and you put a trade on, if it doesn't give you immediate feedback that you're doing the right thing or holding a potential winner, you have my permission to kill the trade and feel no reason why you should feel any regret about it, even if it takes off in your favor. Because if you do this as general practice, you're going to find that you will get out of dog trades. Lying dogs make no money. Okay? They got to get up and run. If they ain't running, they're not going to get to your draw on liquidity. That means they're not going to go to your profit. You're not going to be with the partials. You're not going to pay yourself. You can't get paid, and it's going to be frustrating. So why the hell are you in it? Why are you in that trade? You're trying to make a diamond out of a turd. You can polish it all the hell you want. You're just going to get shitty hands. That's all that's ever going to happen. You're going to have a mess trying to turn something that's really a bunch of shit. It's never going to get any better. Why? Because in your brain, in your mind, you're telling yourself, if I get out of this, even though I know in my gut this isn't moving right now, but if I close it, it's going to run. And I'm going to feel like shit about that. But you don't do that when you start thinking, this isn't moving for me. Let me start giving myself a time stop. Ooh, what is that? Something I do. If I see something, like if I buy a fair value gap, okay, for instance, look at the last trade this did on the S&P. I shared it on non-farm payroll in the app, a little bit after non-farm payroll's first hour or so. I went long and I traded up into a sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, CIBI. Let's say I bought that fair value gap and it just hung around for, I don't know. I can't recall what time frame I was on when I was looking at, but let's just say it stayed inside the fair value gap for, if it was a 5-minute chart, say there was 5 candles that it was constantly dipping into it. Okay. I don't mind a PV array being revisited and repriced too, and that's fine. But if it's hanging around like that and hasn't ran for the buy side, I start giving myself a time stop. So I'll give it usually 30 seconds to a minute. As soon as I recognize this and I start feeling that 30 seconds to 60 seconds, I'm counting down. I'm literally looking at the time in the lower right-hand corner of my charts. I'm saying, okay, if I don't see positive movement in my favor, I need speed and distance. Okay. If you ever watched any of my recordings where I'm doing executions or whatever, sometimes you'll see me type in there, say, I want to see speed and movement. I want to see how fast it can run away from where it's at. I'm doing that countdown in my head. Whenever I type that out, the internal dialogue that you're not aware of, I'm telling you right now, is I'm placing a time stop on it. Yes, I have a stop loss on it. So if it was against me, it'll stop me out and take me out of the trade at a loss that I'm willing to accept. But I also, at these points where the market starts to like hang around and isn't really running for me yet, but it hasn't really scared me to the point where my stop loss is in jeopardy. It just isn't moving around. It's just like dead. It's a dog. It's a lying dog. It hasn't got up and started running yet. As soon as I start feeling that, I say, okay, look at the time. It's got up to a minute to start moving for me. Now, some of you might, well, good grief, Michael, 30 seconds, a minute, that's not enough time. Maybe for you. But I know that there have been so many times in my career where if I just simply would have done that, I would have avoided lots of losing trades. Lots of losing trades by simply limiting the amount of time I hold on to dogs. You got to let your runners show themselves. And if they don't want to join the race, move on to the next one. And yes, that means commission costs are spent and you didn't take anything out of it. So what? That doesn't feel bad when you do that. Because if it doesn't run, which that's going to be the majority of the time, but your brain is telling you it's going to run and it's going to do 500 handles. No, it's not. Stop thinking like that. You have no idea how every trader that's unprofitable thinks the same way. It's almost like they read from the same books. I'm saying that with my tongue in cheek. That's what you've been conditioned to believe, to accept, and want in trading. You want to hold on to a trade. You got to trade your plan and plan your trade, right? So what does that mean? Well, you got to get into the trade and come hell or high water, your stop loss gets hit or it moves in your favor. That's bullshit. That's why people lose money. That's the reason why people lose money. You have to kill it. If it's not working for you, fire that position. Get rid of it. Hire another one. And when you get the right candidate, it will work for you. But you cannot be fucking around with these lackluster moves that aren't delivering for you. If they're not running for you, as soon as you start feeling that unction, you know what, I wish this thing would move. As soon as you just thought that or said it out loud, that's the time to start the timer. Okay, you got 30 seconds to 60 seconds. If it doesn't start moving in my favor, this is a dog and I'm killing it. And I don't give a fuck what it does. I guarantee you, if you do this, you will protect yourself more than you'll find these big runoff moves that you think you're going to lose if you get out of the trade. Let me ask you a question. How many times do you see big runoff moves? Now, you see them all the time in hindsight. But how many times in your own personal analysis have you seen big runoff moves? You're not seeing them every 5 minutes, folks. Come on. Be realistic. And it gets back to why trading is so hard. Your imagination is running wild. You don't have experience. You're just now beginning to learn how these markets work. And you think that every setup is going to be these mega trades. It doesn't work that way. Bread and butter setups happen every single day, which is the reason why I beat that drum all the time. That's not an Olympic feat. Simple little things. The little things repeat every day, and you can make fortunes with little movements that are highly consistent. But you can't over leverage them and hold on to them and demand that they pay out bigger yields than they're really warranted. So you have to be reasonable with yourself first, because do you have the skill set that you're trying to imagine that you do? Going into the marketplace expecting no drawdown, no losing trades. See, when I share my analysis, when I share my expectation on where I think the market's going to go, you only see what I show you. Now, that comes with people that can't stand me. They'll say, he's cherry picking. That's the only thing I said. So those results do what for people that are in support of me? They think I'm infallible. So you're learning from someone that shows high degree of consistency and precision. So therefore, you should expect what? High degree of consistency and precision, right? Over time. See, you have selective hearing. Just like I'm telling you now, you will learn those skill sets and you will achieve that, but you will not achieve that in your first year. It won't happen. It's going to be a lot of discovery, personal discovery, the psychological and emotional things that you got to conquer in your first year and a half are so significant Not enough said about it. It's one thing for someone to say, hey, look, ICT, get to the point, give me something I can work with. Okay, I did that. 2022 mentorship. It's as easy as you're going to get it. There is nothing else easier out there, Raja. Yeah, he went there. The bottom line is this. You can make it complicated, and majority of that's occurring between your ears. What you're thinking, what you're afraid of, all those things, if you stop and you simply journal all those concerns, those euphoric feelings, oh, it's going to really start moving beyond my target. How many times you got into a trade like that? You get into a trade, it moves for you immediately. So, okay, great. You got a runner now. But then it's running quickly to your objective. So now you start thinking to yourself, okay, well, I had 15 handles as an objective on SPOOs. I'm trading ES and I wanted 15 handles. It's already cleared 10 and it doesn't show any sign of wanting to slow down. This could be one of those 50 handle days. Okay. Well, if you haven't taken off 80% of your trade at your target, you're messing up. You're making a mistake. Now, there's nothing wrong with you saying, okay, I'm going to try to hold for 50 because it's showing signatures that it wants to really run. But you got to take 75 to 80% of your trade off where you wanted to get out at. Roll your stop to a point at which where you make 25% of what your total range would have been. And just let it go and see what happens. If it comes back and takes you out at your stop loss, so what? You had a chance to see what it was going to do. But you don't say, okay, I'm going to ignore where I thought the market was going to go, take no partials. I'm staying with it 100% because, I put the initial risk on. So I need a higher R multiple return so that way I can go on social media. Again, you're trying to do something that's stupid. That's stupid. You're trying to trade public image of yourself. And then you wonder why you're in drawdown. Everybody on Instagram that's doing that, all these marketers that show themselves living the fast life, supposedly making money all the time, flying on planes and going to places that they really can't afford unless they have mentorship people paying them. Okay, I'm telling you, they are trading their public image. That's what they're doing. That equity of their opinion from others. The perception of others about them. That's what they're trying to have new equity highs in that. And that's the problem. When you go out and you start challenging people, especially people that's been doing it a long time, and you can't bring those results, that will rattle you, especially if you're a male. A male takes that personal. Again, it's like you're saying that they aren't that large downstairs. That's how they'll take it. That's what it feels like for a man in trading. If they are sizing up with someone else or someone else is calling them or tapping them on the shoulder, that feeling of, I got to live up to that. Because what if everyone else thinks that I can't do this and can't do that? And then what they do is they start doing things that they can't really do. And they are regretting it. My FX books, announcing they're going to do funded challenges, all that kind of stuff. Don't do those things. If you don't do those things, I guarantee you your results will be phenomenal because you're placing no image in the results. You have no expectations held of yourself. You're not saying, I have to hit 20%. I got to do 10% a week. I got to do 100% in a month and a half or 2 months. All those types of goals are stupid. If you haven't been trading for at least 3 years and you're trying to do some stuff like that, you're really making it more difficult than it needs to be. Versus, what happens if you just try to make 2% a week? Would you be happy if you had a funded account with, I don't know, $100,000 and you tripled it over the course of a year? I mean, how many of you would be like, fuck you, I don't want $200,000. Are you crazy? $200,000? What the hell would I want to have $200,000 for? That's insulting, ICT. Why would you even ask me that? That's what some of you are basically saying without saying those words, because you want to double your account every month. What would $200,000 a year do for someone like yourself? Would it change your comfort? Would it make things a little bit easier? How about get yourself out of debt? Well, you don't have to work very hard to get that kind of result. It's very small little micro moves that you have to do, but when you make them for the week, you have to stop. Don't place any more Olympic feats on top of you. Don't try to live up to everyone's expectations of, hey, you're an ICT student, you should be out there killing it like ICT style. No. One good trade a week. Do it and be done. It's about making money. It's about making money, folks, okay? It doesn't matter how many little hearts you get behind your Twitter posts or how many fanfare you get from all these other, I don't even know how Instagram works. Whatever that stuff is that would fluff a person up. Those things don't matter. Making fucking money does. Paying your bills does. Being able to eat. Taking care of your family. Paying your mortgage off. How about getting a house without a mortgage? Paying your car note off so that way you don't have to make any payments. New set of duds. Clothes.